Go to Locke.
This is Locke with, of course, as always, MTFing War. You'll see me running some double XP here as I finish up tonight. I'm been asked to do some Rune discussion, so as I use up this last little bit of energy here, I'm going to start the talk, and then I'll show some of my mons and what I'm thinking. So, the first thing I want to say is, as a new player, you really do need to not worry about giants, not to start off, or about dragons. Don't. Just, you're gonna save yourself so much time. Giants, as I'm showing here, is gonna drop you Despair, Energy, Fatal, Blade, and Swift. Swift is your friend. Despair is your friend. When you look at mons, you really need to look at what they're built for. Reddit is a great place to look and search for things if you're not 100% sure. If the mon has 2 AoE skills, typically Despair is going to be a viable option for that mon. If they have skills that benefit you from going first, like cooling down or increasing the ATB gauge of your mons, Swift is a super viable option, especially early game and even late game. A mon like Bernard, who has a 3rd skill, which is increases attack bar. Clearly, if you're attacking, you want that to happen right away. Even if you're in defense, you want to increase your defender's attack bar as quick as possible. So Swift becomes a super viable option because you want that 25% increase in the speed just of having the 4 set of Swift. If that's your only goal in a mon, and someone like Bernard or Megan, that might be it. Orion, you don't even need a 2nd set. Broken sets work great if all you're doing to try is to just pound as much speed into someone as possible. So don't worry about making a 2 set if that just doesn't seem viable for your mon. And then a mon you probably all don't have, and I'm grateful to have as my first Nat 5 Zeros. 3rd skill, all skills on cooldown. Initially you might look at that and think, oh shit, Swift sounds awesome because he can go first, cool everyone else down. Yeah, early game that might be a great idea. Mine isn't, though. Mine's, and partially, and for me, it's because of the 2 AoE skills. So I want to stun mons. Now, I haven't really ruined mine in a couple of months, so he's a little slower than I'd like him to be. I've seen quite a few well over 200 on Despair, on Rage, on many different ones, so mine's a little slow. But if you watch some other videos, you'll see that what I've done is I've created him to be exactly what I need. I want him on my arena fights to be slower than my Aquila and slower than the rest of the team. So if there's will runes out there or something like that, that the other team is debuffing themselves before I go to cool him down. So I could make him faster, and I've made him a little faster over the last couple of months. I think he was like plus 72 a month or 2 ago, and I used a Rune day to make him plus 83. So he is still in that range that I wanted to see, so that he still accomplished the role that I need him to be. And that's where sometimes people can overthink runes is, I don't use my zeros on defense. I use them on offense. And he fits my offensive comp. Go back and watch a couple of my arena videos, even 1 or 2 fights, not even the whole video. He fits exactly what I'm working on. Very rarely, unless it's a slow-ass team like Mitch's, do I find myself in a situation where he's just way too fast for everything on the field. especially fighting a guardian. That doesn't happen frequently. Um, so part of that is just looking at the skills, figuring out what works for the mon and being able to interpret that. Um, energy. I'm not really a fan of it, but early game, even like look at my Chloe. We'll take a look at my Chloe here if I can find her. Um, she's still got energy on her. I've had her this way for a while. Do you know why she has the energy on her? Look at the speed subs. Not great, but solid. And that's what gets her to plus 141. Still very viable sets. Maybe not the best. A lot of people like Will. I don't like Will, but a lot of people like Will on her. Mine's fast enough that really doesn't have an issue with needing Will, so I go with the energy for that 15%. Typically, I don't like energy though on Mons. Um, so you've got these fatal. Since the Necro release here late summer, fatal's become a lot more of a prevalent set for attack mons. Rage Blade used to be huge. Lots of Fatalutions out there. Early game, that's fine. Attack, crit D attack, Fatal Blade. Lucian is going to be great. Heck, you go a Swift Blade Lucian if that's what you get. It very well could work for you. It's not going to put out as much damage when it hits, but it's going to be faster, and as long as you time that well with your team, you can be successful with it. Blade with a 12% crit. I'm impartial Blade. If you really need that 12% hit with a mon like Amon or Verde, where you need to get them to 100%, especially early to mid game, that 12% is going to be huge to you. As you get later and later in the game, you're going to find that you can get that 12% in subs, and you can use things like Will, Nemesis, runes that you get from Necro, where you don't necessarily need that blade. But in saying that, we'll go look at my Verde here, and he's not the fastest Verde in the world. But I still have Blade on mine. Blade. And he's not super fast either. He's probably very average, but, he works for me when I need to use him. But I've got that because, I've got this great Blade crit rate rune with plus 16 speed, and that just really suits him well. This is a rune I would love to change. It's a 5-star attack, and it's only got 4 speed. I'd love to get a 15 speed rune on here and really be able to maximize him. If I put 10 more speed on him, he'd be almost plus 100 and much faster. So, my Haw is another example. I've got some really positive runes on her. And my Haw's actually really slow compared to lots of Haws out there, but she gets the job done for me. Their accuracy is probably about 15 points too high too, so I could really get rid of this rune for, if I had something with some speed on it. Like this rune actually might be better for her. Sweet, maybe I'll re-rune Haw next rune day, but it's really about looking at those runes that you have and figuring out what works best for your mods and your compositions. So if we go in and look at maybe what's out there for dragons, Violent. That's what everyone is going to tell you is it's the key rune in the game. There's absolutely no doubt to that in my mind that Violent is not the most important rune in the game. But when that's the case, you don't have to force yourself to get to him. Get yourself up to a Giants B10 team that can run it on auto 80, 90, then to 100% time. Farm those Swift runes, farm those Blade runes, make the rest of your mods better. As you do that, your Giants B10 team will, after a very short time, be able to start farming dragons B8. That's the water version of dragons. And just in doing that, you'll be able to start getting enough violent, enough revenge runes, and almost focus now. Focus is probably the third rune in this set that's worthwhile, except in rare circumstances where like guard becomes really important. Start farming those runes slowly, and you're going to end up with a completely viable Dragons B8 team to be able to move forward in that. Now, unfortunately, with Necro, everything changes. Necro is a completely different beast, and I don't even feel it's fair to just Yahtzeed my wife. There we go. I don't even feel like it's worthwhile to talk about it much, but I'll briefly touch on these sets. Rage, Rage just exactly what it says. Rage Blade, Lucian, Pang, Teshar, even Beast Monks can use it, Ishir can use it, Vigor can use it, but it's just much harder to come by good Rage runes now that they moved them to Necro, so don't worry if you're early game if you don't have good Rage runes. Use Fatal, use Swift, then potentially Vile Revenge. Even there you can get good shield runes. Don't push off a shield rune just because it's a shield rune. If you got a 6-star shield rune, find somebody to use it. I'm sure you can use it somewhere. Will becomes really important as you transition from mid to late game, and then it just gets even more important as you transition into defense really late game. So don't worry about it right now. But really anything you cannot have a debuff on that first turn for defense. It becomes super key. That's one of the main things you're going to end up farming Necro for out of everything on here. Nemesis, I'd really like to change my zeros from Blade to Nemesis. I don't have the runes at the time to do it, to keep his crit rate and D where I'd like it to. I'd like to keep that crit rate about 60% on him for how I use him. And I just don't have a Nemesis set that's going to do that with this speed. Vampire is very few mons use that. Trevor, Ken, mid game, early late game. Fuko and his dark brethren excel on vampire runes. So don't feed your Fuko. I know 2 or 3 different members of my guild that swear by Fuko, and I've seen there's an action, and he is not only good for raid, so don't feed him. I fed mine. Don't feed him. Bad decision on my part. Copper, Leo, if you're lucky enough to pull Leo, but Copper is just really good on Vampire. Ramagod, because they're self-sustaining. So if you think you've got a Copper who every 4 turns is going to hit for 37k damage, 35% of that comes right back to you in health. He can sustain himself, especially if you're throwing a debuff with him. He ain't going to get hurt at all. It's basically a full heal every time he uses his 3rd skill. It's fantastic. I'll try and put some more Copper videos up, but I love sustain with my Copper, and I don't even have 6-star D runes on him all the way around. Destroy, I'm not really impressed with it. I'm not even going to make a comment about it. I don't think it's useful. So, really what you need to do is you need to just look at your mon. You just need to look, what are their skills? Pull up Draco. What's his skill? He puts immunity out there, so you probably want him to go fairly quick. So you want him fast. Juno, look at her first skill. Covers 15% of our attack bar each time critical hit lands. So, attack bar is probably pretty important. So what have I done here? Despair, but I've done Revenge. Do you know why I've done Revenge? I've done Revenge because that first skill, when that hits, if they're attacking me, I get more. If she revenges, I get more of my attack bar back. So use revenge when you have a skill like this that really benefits from hitting right back. Even like 15% of the time, don't worry about the percent. If it's a benefit, use it. Um, one mod I'm looking to change is, um, you know, my Ella, but, look at this first skill. It can remove a beneficial effect. So what I had was good HP rune. I don't have, you know, the same on will at this point, so I can't fix that with a will. What I'd really like to have is a will with speed, speed and defense and HP sub, and be able to throw that in there. I just don't have it, and so that's a benefit for me to have that right now. Um, I'm on like Trident, and I know I'm showing off some mods that a lot of you probably don't have, but um, it removes all beneficial effects. So I've got him on Despair. He's going to remove all the beneficial effects and then possibly stun. If you're talking Arena D, stun 1 out of 4 of the attackers. That's great. And it's regardless if they're buffed or not. My Teo is not ruined greatly at this point. And then, yeah, fuck you, Jake. But, he not only does he damage increase based on speed, but if he crits, he gets more speed. So you really want to manage your speed and crit rate here, because that's how that mon works. I can't stress enough. You need to really look at the mon and see how am I going to use them and build your runes in that way. I really think I'm running out. So, Brand is one that people talk about. Meta used to be as much HP as you can fucking get on him. And, his speed is too good not to put speed on him. He used to be put 100% res. I should find a picture of my old one. I had 100 res, 85 accuracy, and 0 speed, and like 45k HP. But that's too easy to counter. Just way too easy to counter. And, when you start looking at his stats, if you got him to spare, and mine isn't revenge right now, but I'd love to get him revenge. If you've got him to spare revenge, people are going to want to hit him because they want him to revive, especially early mid-game. Hit him back and stun them. I mean, it's the same reason I'm building a Despair Verde, because that surprises people. Yeah, so I think that's all I can really say about runes at this early stage. For you newer members who are watching this video, and shit, I forgot to take my already max level 30 out. Watch the video, give me some feedback on things maybe I said that you think I could be more clear about. I'd love to make another one. If you're not part of MTFing War, you should be, and you should contact me online under Locke, or on Reddit ender_Locke, and we should get you involved because we want to help you develop and we want to make you better. We want you in the family. So once again, under Locke online, hit me up, and we'll have more discussions, especially for newer players, because I feel like we could have a few more resources out there for you to quickly become better. Thanks for watching.